This week we're on location in Tucson, Arizona at the 2016 Timex Multisport Team Camp, and I'm with a rookie triathlete with Timex, Caitlin Glenn. Caitlin, where are you from? And this is your first time really over here to the west side of the country.
Yeah, I'm actually from northeastern Ohio, so just about an hour past Pittsburgh, just south of Youngstown. And yeah, like we were talking about earlier, I've never even been out west, except for a conference once.
And you've been on the ground for just a few hours, and what's the impressions here in Tucson?
Mountains. Yeah, absolutely. I texted my friend who lives in Phoenix, and I was like, man, girl, you were right. Yeah. There are mountains everywhere.
So tell me your triathlon story.
In 2009, I got a flyer slid under my door, my college dorm room, about this boy who was going to do an Ironman. And I read about it, and I was like, well, no wonder he can do that. He was a college swimmer. And I had no idea how to swim. I had never ridden a bike except for in my driveway, and I only started to run because I really liked college life. I realized how much I like pizza and beer. So I figured I better start running, and jumped in an Olympic-sized pool, almost drowned, kind of got mad about it, got a cheap bike, and I just started training.
So no real endurance background before that race?
No, absolutely not. I played basketball all through, oh my gosh, from 4th grade until I was 18 and graduated college.
What is your first memory of the word triathlon or Ironman?
I would say my first memory was when I got that flyer slid under my door. There was a boy from my school that was actually doing it in honor of he was on Ironman France in honor of his grandfather who had passed away, and he was raising money for him. So it's definitely my first connection with what it actually was.
And then this introduction into the sport, after that first experience, what kind of things were going through your head? Like, this is something I really like, or maybe I never want to do this again, or there's something to this.
Yeah, actually, I did my first race and I won my age group, but I tried to find the girl who actually won the race to give her my medal because I was like, well, she won the age group. I didn't realize that when you win first overall, you get a different medal than when you win age group. And so I just remember being totally clueless. But I mean, as soon as I finished my first one, I was like, it wasn't bad. I guess I'm going to try it again. My mom was nervous because she still didn't think I knew how to swim.
Was that your biggest obstacle, was the swimming?
Yeah. Like I said, I jumped in my college pool, and it was a 50-meter Olympic pool. I jumped in. I think I had a bikini on. I immediately jumped out and called my mom and asked her why she never taught me how to swim when I was little. And she said I just refused to take swim lessons because I was cold.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. And then she asked me what stroke I swam, and I told her regular. And she's like, do you mean freestyle? And I was like, I don't know what it's called.
Whatever it took to get down and back.
I don't think I made it down and back. Wow. I think I had to turn around in the shallow end.
What were the distances at that race?
Well, that was my first training experience, but my first race was a sprint. Yeah.
And then your second race, how did that compare, whether it was confidence, whether it was physical ability, to race number 2?
I think I realized how bad I was. And I was like... And then my mom apologized because she said that it was her fault that I didn't know how to ride a bike because I grew up in real rural country roads. And she was like, honey, I never let you ride except for in the driveway because I thought you'd get hit by a car. So she said that, and then I was kind of mad. And that's what made me want to actually try and get good.
Did you have a community around you that also did these things that you could partner up with?
At the time, I didn't know. And then I got more active in our triathlon community, and we actually it's called the Steel Valley Triathlon Club, Steel Valley, like Youngstown, Steel. And oh my gosh, it's the most amazing group of people. They're friends and family. Yeah. Amazing. So yeah, I'm very lucky. We have a really good community.
So when did it all begin to click, or are you still working on that click?
I think after I did Ironman Lake Placid in 2013, and then I was like, all right, I actually want to try and figure this thing out. And then 2014 and 15 were both really good years, and I got to race Kona last year. So I would say tail end of 2014, it kind of started to come into play.
Let's back up a little bit. Lake Placid, your first ever Ironman experience. Why do that race? What encouraged you to say, I'm going to go the full distance?
Well, actually, Ironman Louisville in 2011 was my first Ironman. Okay. I had no idea what I was doing. But like I said, I just read that flyer that was slid under my door, and I was like, this is impossible, and I have to figure out how to do it. So I did 2011, and then 2013 I did Placid.
What do you remember most about Ironman Louisville in 2011?
I would say never being so happy to walk parts of a marathon or an aid station, just kind of like keep moving forward. And I think it was just a good, correlation to what you do every day in life. So, I mean, I think I ran like a 5.5 hour marathon, but I didn't care.
Were you trained properly for the race?
Oh no. I just kind of trying to figure out what I was doing on my own. I had a couple friends that would, go and swim with me or bike with me. And then it wasn't until December of 2013 I started with a coach.
So coaching, that has to make, a lot of people were saying, I can do this on my own, but they hear of people who have, my coach has me doing this today, that today. Like, why do you need a coach? Why do you need a coach, Caitlin?
Oh, I just think, you learn so much. I think before I had my coach, I am coached by Brad Strader from QT2 Systems. And before it wasn't so much I knew I was being ignorant about the sport, but just, I love to learn. And I've just learned so much about nutrition, pacing, fueling, and just how to put a race together and how to go. Mostly, I think the thing I like the most about having him is just that you go to the race and you just worry about yourself. You don't try and beat so-and-so. You just go in, you execute your plan, and whatever happens, happens.
Do you have I don't want to go too negative, but do you have a blow-up experience?
Kona was a little tough this year. Okay. It was a little bit tough.
Before you talk about that, how did you get to Kona?
In 2015, I did Ironman Texas, and I was at mile 16 of the run. And I saw my boyfriend, and he was like, hey, you're 20 seconds down. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like 20 seconds down from what? Like for my age group. I'm like 20th. He was like first. And I was like, oh man, I didn't want to run this next 10 miles that hard. And so luckily I won my age group at Ironman Texas and qualified for Kona.
Would you say you can call yourself a competitive person? You hear 20 seconds down, and then you find out it's for first place in your age group. What goes off in your head?
Oh, you would have had to kill me to beat me. Yeah. I just knew, the 10 miles, it would be over before the day was done. So just put your head down and go as hard as you can, I guess. It wasn't pretty.
Are you a competitive person by nature?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was super competitive at playing basketball with my grades. I have my doctorate. And so, I just always kind of didn't settle, I guess.
So what is your educational background?
My undergrad degree is in exercise science, and then I have my doctorate in physical therapy.
These are good skills and knowledge base to have for this sport.
Yeah, it's great.
So what did you know about Kona before going in? You talked to a lot of athletes about the preparation, the whole mystic nature of being on the big island?
Yeah, I think the thing I knew about it the most was just to expect the unknown. And that this is how I even feel after being there, is you can't explain it. You see people trying to compare a race to Kona, and I don't say much, but I just shake my head because there's no other monster like it.
Can you talk me through your day in Kona last year?
Yeah, it was quite the experience. I found out my grandmother had brain cancer 3 weeks before the race. And so I wasn't going to go. And every time I told her I wasn't going to go, she started crying. She's like, no, you have to go. And when I left Ohio that day, I knew that I wouldn't see her. And so she actually passed away the day before the race. And it was really tough and really difficult, but that's where she wanted me to be. And I was fortunate enough to have my parents down there with me, and same exact thing. None of us were going to go, and it was her wish for us to go. And so I look up in the sky and I just see one star, and it was tough.
What's so special about your grandmother? What was it about a relationship with her?
I actually just got engaged, and I know my dad would always say, are you sure you want to be with her? She comes from an awful long line of strong women. And I would say that's been passed down through my great-grandma, my mom, my older sister, and then me. So she was pretty tough.
So again, through the day, emotions were there on the surface, and yet you're doing the hardest single-day endurance race in the world.
Yeah, it was a little bit crazy. I put myself together by the start. I had a decent swim. I came out of T1 and I actually got clipped where this guy came up on, we were like headed out of the chute, and he came on my inside, which was super weird because like if the chute was here and my bike was here, he cut me off and my spoke got stuck on his rear derailleur. And so he pulled me down. And so I went skidding and got some good scars from it. So I just got a little bit beat up, like right there out of T1. Yeah. Craziest thing, my buddy was in from Boston to surprise his girlfriend. I'm laying on the ground. I look up and he's reaching over, grabbing my bike and fixing my bike. Wow. I crashed right in front of him. It was just bizarre. So it made for a long day.
How long before race day did you arrive on the Big Island?
I went down. Oh my gosh. I think I got there the Saturday before. Okay. Or no, Friday. I left on a Friday. Okay. So yeah.
And this is quite the contrast from Illinois, obviously. Illinois, right? Ohio. So you get there a full week, trying to take it all in. Are you able to enjoy the experience, or was it a focus week?
Well, I went down at first. It's actually pretty funny. When I went down, I sat at the airport, called Sam. Sam came and got me. My house was me, another QT2 coach athlete, Felicity, and Lisa. And so I got to know 3 of the Timex girls real close and real quick. And so I spent a lot of time kind of being on my own, trying to get focused, trying to just kind of take it all in. But somebody told me going down, they're like, you're never going to be able to relive your first Kona. And I just think that was like, all right, if I want to sit on the beach and drink a beer, I'm going to sit on the beach and drink a beer. Like if I want to swim in the ocean instead of a pool, I'll do that for the sake of it being my first Kona. So I was a little bit more lax, I would say.
I know you have no reference point, but how was the bike conditions on the day?
Hot, windy. I think being little and like having that crosswind was just nasty. Just hot.
What kind of advice were you getting from the girls?
Just that if you think that you're going slow, everybody else is too, which was super helpful. Super helpful because, you just be riding along and, everybody else is out there doing the same thing too. Their bikes are turned sideways. I mean, we had one friend that was there. She actually got blown over, and so hot. Any
before we get to the run, any starstruck moments of seeing some of the other big name athletes out there, whether it's along LE Drive on race week? I mean, it's our sport. So these are our celebrities, our superstars, and you see, so-and-so walk by. Did you have any of those experiences?
Yeah, I saw Rennie a couple times, and I mean, you gotta love Brenda Carfrey. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I felt bad for her. She was trying to go for a run, and everybody's like hanging out their window, waving at her. That was cool. Sam and I actually found her. She was doing that Kona bag giveaway. Yeah. Where I think it was Julie Dibbins and somebody else was hiding the bags full of Rennie's gear, and Sam and I found one of those bags. So that was totally, she posted on my Instagram, and I was totally starstruck, geeking out about that. So yeah, definitely.
All right, talk about that transition after 112 miles on the Big Island and riding your bike in the wind, the heat, and now the ominous 26.2.
Yeah, my feet hurt. I remember my feet hurting. And my buddy it was pretty cool. My buddy that I crashed in front of, he was standing right there waiting for me to get out of T2. And he had my boyfriend on FaceTime.
Oh, cool.
Or he tried FaceTime, but he didn't have an iPhone. So he had him on the phone, so the speaker phone. So I was able to say, hey, I crashed my bike a little bit, but I'm okay. It's just going to be a long marathon. Yeah. And I haven't been that humbled since my first Ironman. Here at Kona, you just run until you can't run anymore, and then you just get to the finish.
In races like this, where it's the World Championship, it's the Super Bowl of our sport, what are your goals going in?
That's a good question. I think, knowing it was going to be my first Kona, it was a little bit of trying to just take it all in. Naturally, I'm a super competitive person, but you got to respect Kona, and you got to respect those girls that are there because they're just so incredible.
It's the best of the best.
Yeah, beyond belief. Yeah. And so I was really, it sounds generic, but I was really happy to be there. It definitely humbles you and puts yourself in check.
Was it a day of celebrating the experience of getting there, or I know at some point you're going to go, I want to give it a little bit more effort?
Yeah. A little bit of both. Like I said, luckily I was happy that my parents were there and things like that. So at a couple points I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to go home and hug my poor sister who's been holding down the fort the whole time. So it was definitely a mix of every kind of emotion, every kind.
Are you the Ironman triathlete of the family?
Yeah. They're all supportive though. They're so supportive.
Do they get it? Do they understand what it takes and why you have to be out, training 15, 20 hours a week to do this sport?
Surprisingly, yeah. Like, I'll never forget one time I was between clinicals right before I started my first job, and I was living at my parents' house for a month or so. And my mom looked at me. I knew I had to be on my bike at 3:30 in the morning. If I wanted to get my ride in before work, I had to be started by 3:30. And she looked at me when I got done. She's like, "Why would you want to do this?" And I was like, "I never thought of that. I don't know." But they've always been just absolutely incredible. Like, beyond belief supportive.
Are you the crazy one? We get into this like, yeah, it's Caitlin. She's doing that.
Yeah, exactly. They get some good vacations out of it, so I think they kind of like it. They just don't like race day because they get bored.
How are you feeling after race day in Kona?
Rough, hungry, thirsty, burnt.
What was your go-to food of choice probably on, the day after?
I can't remember what those were called. It was like some sort of like, it was like some sort of like a kai bowl or, Sam took me there. I can't even remember what it was called. Okay. It was something.
Did you have a craving afterwards? What's, like you talked about a beer on the beach. Do you have a craving?
Yeah, pizza.
Yes.
I can't get anything down except for like some greasy pizza,
yes.
Maybe some French fries.
Yes.
I always crave pizza, 100%.
Yeah. So tell me about your fiance and his involvement in the sport and in your circle of this sport.
He's awesome. He's really, really involved in the sport. He's good. He's a lot better than me. My mom told him that's the only reason that we can stay together is because he's humble enough and he's faster than me that there's no way I'll ever beat him. He coaches with Kim Schwabenbauer. Yep. She's in Knox, Pennsylvania, so she wanted to expand and retire from professional racing, and she's like, I need another coach. And so those two get to work very closely, and he's like in triathlon encyclopedia. Like, I'll be on my bike in the morning and I'll have a question and I'll go wake him up and say, hey, Gatorade or Gatorade Endurance, like, what's the difference? And he just like rattles it off. It's like having a go-to with me all the time. He's great. And he was a collegiate swimmer. And so he does all my swimming. He coaches my swimming. He was actually my swim coach before we dated. And I had never had a swim lesson at all. So he was very patient. Okay. And now he coaches all my swims and he's great.
So as far as both of you racing and or train together, have you been in the same races together?
Yeah. Actually, it was odd enough that last year I decided to sign up for Ironman Texas. At a last minute, we were both going to do Mont Tremblant. So I unexpectedly signed up for Texas, which threw our whole race season off because we were going to do the same races. And it worked out as a blessing because it was like I would have the A race. So he'd cook, clean, take care of the dog, do the laundry. And then I'd get a little bit of an off season. And then he'd have an A race. So then I'd cook, clean, take care of the dog, do the laundry. And then if it was my turn to race again, he took care of all the house. And then it just cycled into, and it was perfect. It kept us not at each other's throats. And so then this year we did the same exact thing. I signed up for Texas again. He signed up for Mont Tremblant again. And so we just kind of offset the big races.
And since you say he's a little bit better than you are,
he's a lot better.
And you made it to Kona last year, you were telling me during our run earlier that he's itching for Kona too.
Yeah, I think he tries not to talk about it. I don't know why, but
for guys sometimes.
Yeah, it's just exactly it. He's only done he's done one full at Mont Tremblant last year, and unfortunately he sat on the side of the road for a while with a flat tire, so he was a little bit discouraged from that. And then he signed up for Muskoka, and then it got canceled. Oh. So luckily he got back into Mont Tremblant, and he's starting to itch for a good race, I can tell. So
what are your aspirations in 2016?
Honestly, I think like how Ironman Texas last year was like the 2015 North American Championship race. Everybody keeps asking me like, oh, do you want to go back and do you want to win your age group again? Like, that's got to be what you want for 2016. I'm like, really? I don't care. I want to do as little as I can in a good way. as little as I can to be able to qualify for Kona and have a better race at Kona.
Since you've been there once before, you kind of know what to expect. Let's go ahead and race it.
Right. I feel like I was definitely in my best form at Texas last year, and then like I just wasn't durable enough through the season to carry that form into Kona. So I feel like, you know, if I'm not in my best form in May, hopefully I'll be able to peak for an October race. So
as recently engaged, when's the date?
no idea.
Okay.
I told him this is so bad, but he so understands. I'm maid of honor for my best friend this July. My big sister gets married next June. And in 2017, I'm going to be racing. I'm 25 to 29. In 2017, I'll be racing at 29. So I'll be at the top of my age group. And I really want Kona in 2017. So I don't know, we can get married in Kona or just wait.
That'd be a nice celebration, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm good either way. Not too worried.
Well, Caitlin's been very great talking to you. Thank you for sharing your experience with our audiences, and best of luck in 2016.
Thank you.